Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, we got some monster games this week, and oh my gosh, it's going to be something. Some of these are the biggest rivalry games of the year for a lot of these teams, and there's also a lot on the line because we've got a 12-team playoff this year instead of a 4-team. So with 12 teams, there's 20 teams that could get in still. So it's going to be a very wild weekend, and we just finished the craziest weekend of the year. The SEC imploded on itself. These 5-5 teams whooped up on some of the best teams in the SEC, which on the road, that happens. So there could be a lot occur this weekend. So let's get into this. So there's games tonight that nobody cares about. And let's see, then Thanksgiving, no. Let's see. Friday, you'll start getting into some games. Boise State's playing Oregon State. Colorado's playing Oak State. Let's see, not a game I want to talk. Here we go. Mississippi and Mississippi State. That's the Egg Bowl. That'll be interesting. But Ole Miss has already lost 3 games. They're pretty much out of the playoff. So this will be an interesting game because Mississippi State has everything to play for. Ole Miss has almost nothing. Poor Lane. Now, here's an interesting game. We got Georgia versus Georgia Tech. And the Rambling Wreck's not a bad team. They're not a great team, but they could give Georgia some grief. This is an in-state rivalry, so they'll be going at it hard. If it was at Georgia Tech, I'd give them a little better chance. Georgia's playing to get into the playoff, well, actually the SEC playoff to try to win the SEC. So I think Georgia will show up for business. Should be an interesting game. I don't think Georgia Tech can hang with them, but, you know, it won't be just a walkover game. All right, now this is a huge game right here. This is a major revenge game for Ohio State. They're so angry about the last 3 years. They got beat by Michigan 3 years in a row.
It's got to be America's team.
After beating them about 16 out of 17 times. But Connor Stallion showed up, and all of a sudden, Michigan was an amazing team. They got so good so fast.
The sign stealer guy.
Helped the recruiting, helped keep guys from the transfer portal, bring guys in from the portal, kept some guys staying one more year instead of going to the NFL. It's amazing what Connor did for that team. And they won a natty. I don't know if they're going to get to hold on to it or not. We'll see. Michigan was supposed to answer yesterday. They'd had 90 days to respond to the notice of allegations. They asked for 30 more days, which was granted. But the NCAA threw more crap on them, some more allegations on top of it. So that was sort of their punishment for wanting 30 more days, I guess. But anyway, the revenge factor for Ohio State is going to be monstrous.
And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be about like that. They are going to be angry. I really think the fact it's at Ohio State, oh, my gosh. Do you understand how bad – if there's a score to be run up, if they can do it, they're going to run it up. There's no doubt in my mind. So it should be a very interesting game. Michigan, they'll try because they can't stand Ohio State either. It's not a one-sided hatred. But anyway, look for that game to be outstanding, and that definitely affects the playoff because right now Ohio State's sitting pretty. If they were to lose that game, that could really hurt them. All right, this is another monster game, Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Tennessee is in great shape in the playoff. They're almost bound to get in if they beat – well, they're almost guaranteed. We'll see tonight when they put out the rankings at 8 o'clock. But Vandy is a very good team this year. They beat Alabama.
My Alabama Crimson Tide.
They beat Kentucky. They almost beat LSU, and they almost beat Texas. Texas only beat them by 3. So look for Vandy to show up. That Diego Pavia, he is no joke. That guy has wreaked havoc on a lot of teams. Ask Hugh Freeze at Auburn what he's like. So Tennessee had better show up. It's a noon game. ABC, I'm telling you, I think this will be a knockdown dragout, and Tennessee better show up for business. Yeah, they better do a Missouri.
We stand on business, Josh.
They'd better stand on business on this one because Vanderbilt's no joke. If they win it, they're going to be in great shape. So, another monster game coming up. South Carolina and Clemson, these are two teams that absolutely still have a chance to get into the playoff, and they hate each other. I mean, it's like this. You have no idea. They're so angry. I even think Carolina Jackpot might have a good attitude about this game because South Carolina's good this year. Carolina, tell them about your defense.
Because our defense is good. They're good.
Exactly. Their defense is very good. It came out of nowhere. I thought they were going to win 5 games this year, and so did everybody else, maybe 4 to 6, something like that. No. They've got 8 wins, and nobody wants to play this team right now. They're, of course, going up against Clemson at Clemson. It's extremely rare to beat them there. Last time they did it, or anybody, I think it was 2022 with South Carolina.
When they allegedly had their signs.
We'll find out hopefully one day if these notice of allegations ever get answered to and we get this whole thing out in the open with Michigan. Maybe we'll find out. But anyway, that's going to be a monster game. Then you've got Louisville versus Kentucky. You would think that's not a big game, but Mark Stoops, his job's kind of on the line. And when I say on the line, they're not going to fire him because they can't afford to. The guy makes $9 million a year, and they'd have to pay him something like $50, $60 million to get rid of him. But they're very upset up there. Their record sucks, and they've been getting the crap beat out of them. They show up every now and again and play well, but they're used to winning 7, 8 games a year, and this is going to be a losing season. Yeah, they're 4-7. So this would be a great win for them, though. They could at least finish 5-7, beat the in-state Louisville, which is huge for them. And that would calm everybody down. They could start thinking about basketball, which is what they primarily care about anyway up there. So it's still a huge game. Mark Stoops is going to have a tough off season if he loses this game. It'll get ugly.
I hope you have a strong stomach, senor.
Roll the ugliness.
All right, then we've got Penn State versus Maryland. Man, Penn State, they catch so many breaks when it comes to schedule. It's unbelievable. And it's at Penn State. They're in great shape. They're sitting at number 4. So their playoff chances are excellent. Take care of Maryland. They should be fine. Here's another super interesting game. That's Notre Dame at USC. USC's a decent team. Notre Dame could slip up in this game, and it would probably knock them out of the playoff. It could easily do that. So Notre Dame had better show up ready to play. We'll see how this goes, but that's a very intriguing matchup. Now we've got the Iron Bowl. Auburn versus Alabama. Man, that's going to be a heck of a ball game. Auburn's coming off a big win against Texas A&M, which really put A&M against the wall. And Alabama is distraught. They have had 3 losses, folks. 3. They haven't had 3 losses, I think, since Nick Saban's first year. And to get beat into the ground the way Oklahoma did to them, that just shocked the crap out of me.
Something had happened. A fuse blew, and I had gone out of my skull.
So look for that to be a heck of a ball game. I don't know what Alabama has to play for in this. And Auburn, man, it should be very interesting to see what happens. Miami's playing Syracuse. I would think Miami'd win that game. They'd better. If they lose to Syracuse they're toast. Here's SMU. They've got a real chance to get in. They got to play California, which is a decent team. There's Arizona State. They have a slight chance. Here's Missouri at Arkansas. Not a very important game, but we'll see how it plays out. Missouri has already lost 3 games, though. And here's a big one, Florida at Florida State. And Florida, I'll just go ahead and show you. This is High Top Sports. Let me show you where Florida was earlier this year.
Glad I rolled the intro. This is the lowest, the most disgusting point of Florida football I have ever seen, been associated with. This is unbelievable. Start over. Figure it out. Everyone's worried that, but we fire Billy, what's going to happen to the I don't care what happens. We got to burn this bit to the ground. Start over. Figure it out. I would pay double whatever Lane's asking for him to leave now. Pay whatever you pay. Literally just do whatever you got to do. This is atrocious. You're going to lose everything.
2 hours later.
We got you! Lane, you can't win the big ones. I said it. I have my reserves. Billy, we married again, baby. We married again. I forgive you. We're back, baby. Woo! We're going bowling.
Ain't it funny how a season goes? You could be in the doghouse. They want you gone. They put a Mayflower in front of your house. A few weeks later, all of a sudden, they're ready to reconcile. They put their wedding ring back on. Everything's fine. I like High Top Sports. He's like every fan out there. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. We've all been there. We've all been ready to fire some coach, and then a few weeks later, he's the greatest thing ever. Anyway, that's what's going on at Florida. Now they're playing Florida State, the undefeated team last year through the regular season and won their conference. Yeah, here's what they're looking at this year, how things are going.
I mean, this is so much worse. And again, it's coming off with 13 wins. I get it. It's coming off with 23 wins in 2 years. I get all that. This is so much worse than anything Willie Taggart ever thought about putting out on the field. Like, if we don't fire Taggart in 2019 and Taggart goes into 2020, you know he wins more than one game through 10, right? Like, you understand that, right? And so, yeah, this is really bad.
Yeah, they're not happy down there at FSU, and this game against Florida worries the crap out of them because they know what it's going to be. Florida is going to party like it's 1999 at their house, and it's not going to go well. And that's going to make it 10 times worse. They got DJ Lagway. He's still a little bit game on that leg, but he looks pretty darn good. He's obviously going to be a good quarterback if they can keep him healthy. If he's able to run, he becomes a real difficult guy to deal with because he's big enough to handle the punishment for the – look, his hamstring wasn't even from getting hit. It's just where I think he lost his footing. So Florida's their back pumped for the time being. Billy will do Billy things at some point. Don't worry. But they're all fired up, and FSU has done the 180. I mean, you talking about going from feeling good about your team to feeling like crap, and vice versa for Florida. They've each done a 180. So that's the Florida State game. And I wouldn't be shocked if Florida State gave them a game from the first half because they can't stand one another. This is another situation to where they have to live in state and live next to each other, and they got to see each other's colors all the time, and it drives them nuts. And you know how Florida fans are. They're pretty rough. They will flat let you have it. Florida State fans, they're pretty rough too at times, but I think they're a little bit easier to deal with than the Florida fans. Although I say that because we rarely ever play Florida State, whereas Florida, we got to play them every year, and we know what Florida's like. So look for this to be a heck of a ball game. First half, then I think Florida will take care of them. Because I just don't think Florida State's got anything to really throw at Florida. Their offense is just awful. They can't score. Their quarterback play's been anemic. So it's probably not going to be much of a ball game long term, but look for Florida fans to really have fun with Florida State. You could be looking at third quarter and half the stadium's empty. All right, then you've got Oklahoma versus LSU. That's not really going to have any playoff ramifications. Then you got Washington at Oregon. That could have been a really good game, but Washington's not very good this year, so I would think they'll handle them easily. Then the Texas versus Texas A&M. Another monster game. This has big-time playoff ramifications. Texas is in the catbird seat if they can win this game, but it's at Texas A&M. 110,000 crazy people. And Texas A&M's pretty good. So might be a heck of a ball game. If A&M wins, I believe that puts them into the SEC playoff. So all kinds of messy things could happen this weekend. And there is zero love lost between Texas and Texas A&M. Matter of fact, Texas went and got Texas A&M's head baseball coach, and the announcement came out the day of the final game in the World Series. I mean, you're talking about throwing a monkey wrench into Texas A&M University. And Texas loved it. They didn't care. And that's one of the 10 commandments of SEC sports. You don't go and hire the head coach from another team, especially in state. You just don't do that. And they did it. So there's a lot of negativity between those two teams, and it's only gotten worse. Revenge factor. A&M wants revenge factor so bad.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold. It is very cold in space.
And that's pretty much it for the big games, but there's a ton of them. There's a bunch of in-state rivalries. There's a bunch of college football playoff ramifications. Look for this weekend to be maybe as crazy as last weekend. I just hope my Tennessee Vols can handle Vandy because if we lose that game, it's going to hurt bad. We're going to end up going to some bowl that we really don't care about. It'd just be very unfortunate. But I love the 12-team playoff because it's so exciting. Look how many teams are fired up about this weekend, whereas normally they'd be going, who cares? Let's just worry about turkey. Let's just worry about our turkey sandwiches on Friday and Saturday. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 right there. Hit that little button. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. It won't cost you a dime. Getting a little repetitive. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.